There is a kind of strength most men never develop. It's not physical, it's not loud. And honestly, it's not something you can fake for long. It's emotional discipline, the ability to stay calm when disrespected, the ability to think clearly when under pressure, the ability to control your reactions when everything inside you wants to explode. Most men lose not because they lack talent, but because they lack control. They react too quickly. They speak too emotionally. They let anger, fear, and insecurity dictate their decisions. And in doing so, they give away their power. Because the truth is simple. If you can't control your emotions, someone else will. Today, we're going to break down the true power of emotional discipline. Mastering it can transform every area of your life. Emotional discipline is not about suppressing your emotions. It's not about pretending you don't feel anger, frustration, or fear. That's weakness disguised as strength. Real emotional discipline is awareness and control. You feel everything, but you choose your response. You recognize anger, but you don't let it control your words. You feel fear, but you don't let it stop your actions. You experience frustration, but you don't let it break your focus. Weak men are controlled by their emotions. Strong men observe their emotions, and then decide what to do next. That small difference changes everything. Look around. Most men are constantly reacting to social media, reacting to criticism, reacting to stress, pressure, and conflict. Why? Because they were never taught emotional discipline. They were taught to either suppress emotions completely or express them without control. Neither creates strength. When you suppress emotions, they build up and explode later. When you express them without control, you damage relationships, opportunities, and your reputation. Emotional discipline sits in the middle. It gives you control without suppression, and expression without chaos. Let's be real. A man who lacks emotional discipline pays a heavy price. He ruins relationships by reacting impulsively. He loses opportunities because he cannot stay composed. He damages his reputation because he cannot control his temper. He makes poor decisions because he acts on feelings instead of logic. And over time, he loses respect from others and from himself, because deep down he knows he is not in control. Now, compare that to a man with emotional discipline. He stays calm under pressure. He thinks before he speaks. He responds instead of reacting. He builds trust, stability, and respect. And that gives him an advantage most people never develop. Power is not about domination. It's about control. When you control your emotions, you become harder to manipulate, you become more focused, you make better decisions, and you gain respect from others. Now, imagine someone trying to provoke you, but you remain calm. They lose power over you instantly. Or picture yourself in a high-pressure situation, but you stay composed while others panic. You become the most reliable person in the room. This is honestly the power of emotional discipline. It gives you control in situations where, most people lose it. One of the strongest forms of emotional control is, surprisingly, silence. Weak men feel the need to respond immediately. They argue. They defend themselves. They try to win every conversation. Strong men, though, understand timing. They don't react instantly. They pause. They observe. They choose their words carefully, or sometimes choose not to speak at all. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. And often the man who says less actually holds more power. Anger is one of the most destructive emotions when left unchecked. It leads to regretful words, broken relationships, and poor decisions. But you know, anger itself is not the enemy. Uncontrolled anger is. Emotionally disciplined men use anger as information. They ask themselves, why am I feeling this? What is the right response here? Instead of reacting, they redirect that energy into focus, into action, into improvement. Because anger, when controlled, can actually become fuel. One of the biggest emotional traps is seeking validation. When your emotions depend on people's opinions, social media reactions, or external approval, you lose control. Weak men feel good when praised and collapse when criticized. Strong men stay stable. They don't let compliments inflate them. They don't let criticism destroy them. Their identity comes from within, and that creates emotional stability. Pressure reveals your true level of emotional discipline. Anyone can appear calm when life is easy, but real strength shows up when things go wrong, when plans fail, when stress builds, when everything feels uncertain. Weak men panic, they overreact, they lose focus. Strong men slow down, they breathe, they think clearly, they act with intention. This ability to stay calm under pressure makes you dependable, and dependable men are respected. Most mistakes come from impulsive reactions, a quick reply, a sudden decision, an emotional response. Emotional discipline creates space, a gap between feeling and action. In that gap, you gain power, because instead of reacting automatically, you choose your response. And that choice changes outcomes. A simple pause can prevent arguments, regret, and lost opportunities. Train yourself to pause, even for a few seconds. It makes a massive difference. You know, emotional discipline is not built overnight. It's really a daily practice. Every time you stay calm instead of reacting, think before speaking, or control your impulses, you're actually strengthening it. Start small. Try to control your reactions in conversations. Stay calm during those minor frustrations. And, well, practice patience in everyday situations. Over time, this just becomes your default behavior. One of the biggest mistakes men make is making decisions based on emotion. They quit when they feel tired. They avoid challenges when they feel fear. They act impulsively when they feel anger. Emotionally disciplined men do the opposite. They act based on principles, not feelings. They understand that emotions change, but decisions have consequences. So they choose logic over impulse, discipline over comfort, and long-term growth over short-term relief. People may not say it out loud, but they notice. They notice the man who stays calm, the man who doesn't overreact, the man who speaks with control, the man who doesn't seek attention. That man stands out, because in a world full of emotional reactions, control is rare, and rare qualities earn respect. Emotional discipline is not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. The real battle is internal. Your impulses, your reactions, your habits. Every day you face choices. React or stay calm. Speak impulsively or think first. Follow emotion or follow discipline. The more you choose discipline, the stronger you become. The goal is not to eliminate emotions. The goal is to become unshakable, to feel everything, but remain in control, to face pressure, but stay composed, to experience challenges, but not be overwhelmed. This level of control creates confidence, because you trust yourself. You know that no matter what happens, you can handle it. Emotional discipline is one of the most powerful skills a man can develop. It affects your decisions, your relationships, your reputation, and your success. It determines whether you react or respond, whether you lose control or stay composed, whether you build respect or lose it. Most men never master this, but the ones who do, they move differently. They think differently. They live differently, because they are in control of the one thing that matters most, themselves. So the next time you feel anger, pause. The next time you feel pressure, breathe. The next time you feel the urge to react, choose discipline. Because in that moment, you are either giving away your power or taking it back.